Okay, so Friday's activity or practice was creating a unit circle on your own. If you were successful, awesome. If not, I hope you kept trying until you got it, because it's super important for math moving forward that you're familiar with it and you know it off the top of your head. Okay? So, before we get any further with the unit circle, I want to make sure that we're okay with the relationship between degrees and radians, because we're going to start transitioning over to radians, and I need to make sure that the connections you made with the angles that I gave you that were in degrees, you can also recognize them with radians. So today we're going to focus more on practicing with that. All right. So we have a we have a circle that's color coded. All these little yellow angles are each 30 degrees off of the x-axis. So for the first one, we have 30 degrees. For the second one, we have 150 degrees. And then we have 210 degrees. And then we have 330 degrees. All these angles have the same reference angle because they're all 30 degrees off, so their reference angle is 30. That's why they're all yellow. All right. So let's talk about converting these degrees to radians. So I have 30 degrees, so 30 degrees out of a possible 180 degrees should be the same as my angle measure in radians. So I'm going to call that R over pi radians. And so here's how it works out. All right, well, I have 30 over 180. Well, that's just 1/6, which is equal to R over pi. We'll multiply both sides by pi to isolate R. So then it turns out that 30 degrees is the same as pi over 6 radians. All right. Now I'm going to do the same thing, except now I'm just going to replace the 30 with a 150. So replacing that 130 with a 150, if this will allow me, means I have 150, which reduces down to 5/6. But notice I still have to multiply by pi, so then this one turns out to be 5 pi over 6. And if I keep doing the same thing, just replacing the beginning value with the new one that I'm trying to find, that's a 7, so this one will be 7 pi divided by 6. Now put this last one over here. 330 divided by 18. Well, because I'm a big nerd and I know my fractions so well, I know this one will be 11 pi over 6. So if you notice, all the reference angles that have all the angles that have a reference angle of 30 have a couple things in common. What do they all have in common? How can you determine if an angle that's written in radians will be essentially have a reference angle of 30 degrees, aka pi over 6? Look at the pattern, see what you come up with. We'll talk about what happens with 45 and 60 next video.